Hi guys, welcome back to the how-to series. Now basically this series is my attempt to try and solve some of the key problems that PPG pilots face. Now I get inundated with emails with pilots asking me advice all the time, and it's probably because I'm one of the faces for cross-country flying within the Nirvana family. Now, I'm a test pilot for Nirvana. I do some of the high altitude tests. I also do it for the Dudek company as well when it comes to new gliders and how these gliders react to high altitude and cross-country flying. Alright, so without further ado, I'm going to be covering a new topic today, and that is the ultimate fly camping cockpit. Now, I've done so many versions of this, I don't even know at what version we are right now. There are two different directions that we are developing within the Nirvana company. The one is a nose cone pod that you actually put your legs inside, very much the same as what you would have in paragliding. That is a direction a different test pilot is developing for Nirvana at the factory, and what I'm basically doing is the more I would say conventional way, which would be a baggage pod combined with a cross-country machine. There's been a long evolutionary process to get to where we are today, and it came in with the fact that we had to put the reserve fuel tank on the back of the machine so that our lap, or at least the pilot's lap, is open and not to have to take this reserve fuel tank anymore. It was kind of tough for a while for Nirvana and Nirvana cross-country pilots, because if we wanted more than 5 hours range, we needed to carry this 14-liter fuel tank on our laps, and that meant putting the baggage inside mounted bags. And once you've got that all set up, your thrust line is affected, and you're overweight, you're heavy, you're not balanced when it comes to the weight distribution, etc. So first thing, and this took a long time, it took more than a year, was to develop the reserve fuel tank. So we moved the fuel to the back of the air flight, and now it gave us the opportunity to get rid of the side mounted bags, and we are now at a situation where we can have a chest mounted baggage pod. So what I've done is I've taken the 14-liter reserve tank, I've butchered it, I've kept the hard case. Why did I do that? Because it keeps its shape. It's got great aerodynamic properties. Aerodynamics, very important in PPG. You might not think so, because you've got your legs and your arms and it's all over the place. Whatever you do while you're flying, with your arms, how you keep your arms, how you keep your legs, what you've strapped, bags, whatever your design is, that all influences your fuel burn. And we've measured this many times in the experiments in the different versions that we've done. So a hard mounted bag that comes in front of you like this has got really great aerodynamic properties, especially if it's mounted in such a way that you could put your hands away and tuck your hands in, because then your hands would stay nice and warm behind the cockpit. It's not exposed to wind all the time, so you're not sitting with your hands on top of a bag. Alright, let's get to the rest of the features. I've got the radio with Velcro that's strapped into the top here, and I've got a phone for navigation. Then I've got a charge cable that leads into the bag. Now, between the material and the hard case, I put a battery charger pack, which is the buttons over here. Press this button, there we go, and it starts charging the phone. Very simple. So you can put more battery packs if you wanted to, but it's not tucked inside, and it's not hard to access, and it's not a problem. Then I've got a zipper which allows me to access from this side, and I'm basically taking out inflatable mattress from this side. You can see this is one of the nice things about where we've moved to when it comes to technology. It's not that you have to carry that much more anymore for when you're doing fly camping. Yes, you can go cut up from the butcher and get a cut up steak from 1 kilo steak and try and tuck that into a bag, and you're going to fly like that for fly camping. But really, it's only to access, while we're doing fly camping, it's only to access really isolated places and being able to get there comfortably and take off safely and get back home in one piece. And that will, for most pilots, that is enough to motivate them to keep on doing it. If you had a hard time on your fly camping trip because it was uncomfortable, it was maybe an extended ground roll because you were too heavy or something like that, you might not want to do it again. And that's why a lot of Icarus pilots do not really want to do a second and a third and a fourth Icarus, where it's become so comfortable for me to do the Icarus that I've already done 3 ones, and I'm happy to do more. The last Icarus I did, I was perfectly comfortable. This whole setup, it wasn't even as perfected as it is now, and I'm going to illustrate it in the video that I'll do a test flight for you guys. Alright guys, as you can see, visor's wet. I reckon this is kind of like, well, it's actually worse than you would expect on an Icarus. It's wet, it's not ideal. Somehow you're going to have to make your way through whatever. So I'm going to do a takeoff, show you guys what the rotation and landing looks like, and then perhaps I can get my 360 out and show you guys what the in-flight look and feel of the baggage pod or cockpit is. Alright, let's get cracking. Alright, here we go. Comes up, holding it rise and forward. Oh, airborne, no problem. Keeping it low and slow. Woo, I'm getting wet. I'm gonna go fish for better weather down in the valley. It's gonna be wet and slippery. Ah, that's not too bad. That's tough. That for me, flying this cockpit is just pretty much the same as me doing a flight for every day. You know, just sport flying. It doesn't influence me, but I'm packing so many utilities in here. All right, so inflatable mattress will suit a 2-meter guy easily. This one is made by First Ascent. They're a great manufacturer here in South Africa. But Americans and other places, they do have their own versions as well. Alright, so the back of the pod is a 1.5 liter water access or a camelback that's built into a separate compartment. This is extra to the normal reserve fuel tank, the pod that we used to have. So this is an additional feature. It's easy for me to access this thing on the side, and I can just pull this out, the camelback pipe, and I can access 1.5 liters. You never know what your water source is going to be like when you fly camp to an isolated region, and you cannot do without water. No matter how tough you are, water is going to be a problem. So make sure that you've got a good water source while you're flying, and make sure that you've got enough for the overnight or however long you're going to be staying where you are. You also don't know if you've got a failed takeoff attempt, especially if you're doing fly camping on your own. If you're going to have a failed attempt and you're stuck there, and you're going to be there for a while, you're going to have to walk yourself out to the nearest place, then having enough water is going to become a critical factor. Alright, this little bag here at the bottom, we're flying 2-stroke machines, most of us are. So having access to your oil is an important thing. I've got what I use as a catheter bag. Now a lot of pilots have different versions. Some guys just stick the oil bottle into a bag, and that's what I mean when it comes to ergonomics, that things can become smaller. Now I'm carrying about 700 milliliters of oil here. All I have to do is press this button and it pees the oil right into the tank, and I can see exactly how much I'm using with an indicator stripe here on the side. This is a very small bag, it's very tough. Obviously the medical industry designed this so that it's tough enough so that they don't drop this and someone's pee is dropped all over the floor. So it's strong enough. It's lasted me through the Icarus races. Haven't had an issue with it. So I keep on using it, but I've made it the modification on this this fly camping pod is that the oil is separate from the bag. So I don't carry the oil inside because on one of the excursions that I went, my oil bag did rupture, but it wasn't this one. It was a different kind of one. It was a camelback, and it ruptured inside my tent, my sleeping bag, my clothes. Everything was filled with oil. It was a horrible trip, horrible experience. Okay, get back to basics. That's on the outside, doesn't get in your way. I'm going to open up here. Alright, first thing to come out here is my fuel source. Now I usually freeze this before I fly, before I go on an adventure. I use these gels. Now like I said, technology is constantly improving, and it's improving in every area when it comes to nutrients, to food, to protein, to lighting, to tents, to sleeping bags. Everything is becoming smaller and better. So the ones that you should look out for, what I would recommend, I do running adventure races as well, and the Goo product range is a really great product range. But whatever you use, you'd look for something that packs amino acids. So something like this is a shake. It'll take 5,200 amino acids in this thing. It's actually called a recovery shake, but it's a meal substitute to such a degree with protein that if you take one of these in the morning, you wouldn't want to eat for the whole day and evening. You wouldn't even need an evening meal. Now I pack a few of these shakes, and then I have a hot meal option, because psychologically, if you're flying somewhere, if you've been flying for 10 hours for the day, you're gonna maybe want a hot meal. And I freeze these meals up. It's a protein meal. For example, this is chicken biryani. I've got some beans, savory minced beans. What else do I have? I've got beef and beans. So many different meal options here. This is actually about 4 days worth of food, at least 4 days worth of food if you work the shakes into it. And this little pack only weighs about, I'd say about a kilo's worth of food that I've got in here, but it'll last me, if I had to, up to 5 days at least. I've got a little light in here as well. I've got a knife and fork kit. Everything's sealed into a little package, which is frozen before I go into a trip, and I shove it into the container before I go out. Okay, getting to the interesting stuff, and I'm going to do a video on the tent separately. This is the tent. All right, so I used to use a different design tent, the design we got from Parajet guys in the UK. It came to Parajet guys in South Africa, and we made them locally, the tents. The problem I had with that tent design was it was a complete unit, and you struggle to find where and how your machine has to fit into it, especially when it's dark at night. To put that whole thing together was a problem for us, for me at least as well. So what I liked when I heard of the Gen tent was the fact that it was easy to assemble and disassemble, and it's easy to do that at night especially. It's a modular unit where you've got your rain cover that comes over your main tent, and it is super easy to put this up at night. So I'm going to be doing a video where I'm going to be doing an ocean crossing and landing on a deserted island and doing a camp out on it with a couple of pilots, and then I'll do a proper video on how cool this tent really is. But most questions that come towards me is how small this thing is. 1.2 kilos, but it compresses quite a bit as to fit into a container. So even though it looks huge, it fits into this container quite nicely. Yeah, the dimensions for the tent, it's quite big. It's a nice big tent. And the designer, his name is on this tent. It's Nicholas Berger. He's actually a friend of mine. He's in Czech Republic. We've been discussing development for a while now, and we're bringing these tents back to be supplied to all our North American importers and African importers, hopefully to some other regions that I'm taking responsibility for as well, or guardianship for as well. So this is definitely one of our big developments, that we're going to be supplying these gin tents to our customers. We want to get fly camping on the map. We really want to. So a good cockpit combined with a good tent get you almost there. All right, pots. I use a very lightweight aluminium pot with a silicone insert. The reason why I like that is when you've cooked something on an open fire, you can just put that across into your silicone base, and you've got access to boil and clean your pot as well. From a maintenance perspective and cleaning perspective, that's quite nice. Just a cup. If you're going to fly a tea bag if you're going to have some water, why not make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee? Having those two items doesn't take much space. Works quite well. All right, inflatable cushion. Folds up very, very small, but if you don't have a cushion, what are you going to put under your head? You want to be comfortable. You want to have a great night's stay. If you pack these things in and you put it up, I promise you, it feels like you're staying in a proper room. It really, really is comfortable. All right, sleeping bag. This one is also made by First Ascent. You can see, even the wording and everything else. I've had so many tents, but this is the one I come back to. The First Ascent is a sub-zero tent. This little tiny thing will take you below 0 degrees Celsius comfortably. In the Icarus races, those temperatures sometimes are as low as -5 to 0 degrees in some of the places that I've been. This has been fun. I don't even need to sleep with my jacket on. That's how nice and warm this little thing is. So you can get great products if you just shop around for it. And then a small towel. You know, it's one of the most irritating things when you're sweaty, or you just got your access to water and you've got yourself washed up and cleaned up and whatever else, and you don't have a towel and you've got to use your shirt or something else. Something as small as this makes a bit of a difference. Alright guys, that is the capability of the baggage pod. Right, you can see in there I kept the hard shell, cut a lot of it out, pieces out just to save some weight, but it keeps the shape, and it is a great access, easy access system. Two other things. I've taken this idea from another pilot, Tom Cubat. I'm giving you a shout out. These side mounted strobes and little pocket bags that you can open up. One is a medical kit, one is a tool kit. This actually straps onto Velcro on the sides of my reserve fuel tank on the Airflight. So I've got a medical kit and a tool kit. Do I need them? I've never used a single tool, me personally, never used a single tool on any of the 3 Icaruses that I've done. But that's me flying in Nirvana. It's not necessarily the same kind of situation you're going to be dealing with flying a different machine. But we've got a pretty good success record on survivability of the machines, and so this is about an extra 500 grams. Do I need it? I don't know. That's a consideration for a specific mission, perhaps. Medical kit. This is going to be controversial, I think. I only do basics because I also deal with the military. I only believe in 2 things really. You're either going to fix yourself with elastic strap, all right? Because that's a pressure bandage pretty much for anything, any kind of wound that you're going to get. You could strap yourself back together again, whether you break your arm or whether you've got a deep wound or flown into a tree or something like that. This is probably the most handy thing, that even if you carry this separately into your bag, it's worth having that. And then if I'm really busted up and I'm not going to be flying out and I know I'm going to be dying in the bush because I've gone on a camping trip on my own, I do a lot of these cross-country missions on my own, then I've got that poisonous cigar to check out. But, you know, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with a cigar, right? Well, not everybody's taste. You know, some people might want to hang around, try and get rescued. I'm not too bogged down with the whole question of mortality. So I'm not going to discuss this further with you guys. I know everyone's got a different opinion on how they do their fly camping trips and how they would deal with the survival situation. It is good to have some survival tools. Obviously, you can put that into your kits however you want. These little side pockets are really great options to do that. Guys, that was the ultimate fly camping cockpit, in my opinion. I don't think you need more than this. Do you need an extra pair of underwear? I think there's space for an extra pair of underwear for your jacket, whatever else. You would be able to get it in there. I'm pretty sure about it. And I'm going to be doing a trip on this, using all this gear on a pretty good location on a deserted island, and I'll see how that turns out. So the next video on how to would be how to erect a proper tent and to camp out. So we'll do that as the next video. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.